Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe Longinusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris-Mascaro, the show where industry leaders, golf professionals, and legends all come and discuss the great game we love so much. So without further ado, let's turn it over to our host to tell us who's next on the tee. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me again this morning on Next on the Tee. We are brought to you today by the great folks over at the French Lick Resort, the World Golf Village, the Leather Shop, the PGA Tour Superstore, the Bobby Jones Company. Great folks over at the Bobby Jones Company, folks. Also by Holder Golf and Frogger Golf. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and let me just quickly say, if you're not sure who the folks over at Holder Golf are, go online to holdergolf.com and check out their putters. I'm just saying, they sent me a putter, and you know, they've added sort of a different twist on the putter lie angle, so your arms are, you know, more able to, you know, hang freely and comfortably down by your belt line and that sort of thing. And you know, we're so used to the usual upright shaft angle. Well, I dropped a dozen balls down from about 10 feet away and made all 10, folks. And I said, you know what? I'm sold. Get me one of these putters. So you need to go online and check them out again, holdergolf.com. This morning, I have two great guests that I'm really looking forward to sharing with you. First up, I'm going to get a return visit from PGA professional Chris Sheehan, and I'll talk with Chris about his thoughts on what he's seen so far from golf being back in the Olympics. We saw the men's side, complete their event, and now the women are out playing. So get Chris's thoughts on Olympic golf. We'll also talk about his time working up at Oak Hill and at Inverness, plus his opinion on new PXG golf clubs. He tweeted out about those not all that long ago, so we'll talk about that and a whole lot more when Chris joins me here in just a few moments. My second guest today is Andy Traynor, and Andy is a Trackman master professional. We'll talk in detail about what we can learn about our swings and the variety of data that's available when we go into a Trackman or use the Trackman device. So very interested to get Andy's thoughts on that. He's from the UK, and he spent time as a club pro at some very historic golf courses over in the UK. The Chingford Golf Course dates back to 1886. So we'll talk about that and get some playing lessons from him and from Chris when both join me. Andy will be along a little bit later in this half hour. So we're going to have a lot of fun this morning. I'm so glad that you've chosen to allow us to be part of your day today. And like I mentioned a moment ago, we're sponsored by the French Lick Resort, which is an absolutely spectacular place, folks. Their Pete Dye and Donald Ross designed courses were ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state of Indiana by Golf Week. It was the site of last year's Senior PGA Championship and the LPGA Legends Championship, which they are hosting again this year and is going on right now. Go to French Lick Resort or FrenchLick.com to see for yourself just how great a place it is and to book your stay. We're also sponsored by our friends over at the Leather Shop, makers of top-quality, custom-made leather dress, casual, and golf shoes. Folks, do your feet a favor and put them inside shoes. They're going to keep them feeling good and looking good all day long. You can find them online at the-leather-shop.com. Also want to give a shout-out to our friends over at the World Golf Village, located in historic St. Augustine, Florida. It's also the home of the World Golf Hall of Fame. My buddies and I, we did our annual golf trip down there a few weeks ago and had just an absolutely fabulous time. No matter the time of year or the length of your visit, folks, the World Golf Village is sure to deliver an experience, with family and friends, and you're going to make memories that are going to last you a lifetime. For more information, go to worldgolfvillage.com online or give them a call, 1-800-948-4653. We want to welcome our new friends over at the PGA Tour Superstore, as I refer to it as a golf wonderland, and the best place to get everything, that you need to look great and play great when you're out on the golf course. Check out all of their great items, from golf balls to clubs to rangefinders and so much more. Find them online at PGATourSuperstore.com. Also, our friends at Jones Global Sports and the Bobby Jones Company, like I mentioned a moment ago, such great people. Andy Bell, their CEO, joined us here a few weeks ago. Folks, raise your game to new heights in performance with a brand that's been known for style, character, and excellence for the last 25 years, and that's the Bobby Jones Company. They have an inspired collection of products that capitalize on fabric technology to deliver a modern look and performance while honoring the legacy of Bobby Jones, and it delivers on the promise of enduring style. They work hard to earn your respect, your trust, and your business, and even more importantly, your long-term friendship. Communicate that you're here to stay by wearing clothes from a brand that has been known for enduring style and presence, and that's Bobby Jones Company. Check out all their great styles by going to bobbyjones.com. And while you're on their site, click on the equipment link to see the great line of drivers, fairway woods, hybrids, and putters designed by one of the game's most influential equipment designers ever, and that's Jesse Ortiz. Like his father, Lou, and Bobby Jones himself, Jesse has a passion for golf and golf club design. You remember his great tri-wood medals. Remember those, tri-wood medals with the low-profile woods that we all had in our golf bags from Olimar? Well, now he's putting his innovative designs and creativity, to work, making great equipment for the Bobby Jones Company. And you can get there directly by going online to bobbyjonesclubs.com. And folks, every week here on Next on the Tee, we like to kick off the show by saluting the brave men and women serving in every branch of our military who are tuning in around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network. We want to thank all of you for the daily sacrifice that you and your families are making to protect our freedoms and our liberties. We also want to thank our veterans out there for all that you and your families have done for us over the years as well. It's through your strength and your efforts that our way of life is even possible. Folks, if you happen to see a member of our military when you're out and about, whether, it's in your everyday life, whether you're in the airport, at a restaurant, at the grocery store, wherever you may be, please stop for a moment and tell them thank you. They are our true heroes. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz and all the great folks over there at the Armed Forces Radio Network. It is such an honor for us to have our show Next on the Tee be a part of your network. You can find our show by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org. And I also want to continue to remind our veterans, please go to globalvoiceforveterans.org. It is a great site with news and articles and a wealth of information designed specifically for our veterans out there that I'm sure you're going to find both interesting and beneficial to you. Again, globalvoiceforveterans.org. All right, now back with me on the French Lick Resort guest line is Chris Sheehan. Let me remind you about Chris's background. He was the captain of the baseball and hockey teams at Trinity College up in Hartford, Connecticut, and was an All-Region and All-American nominee in both. In golf, Chris won the 2003 Western New York PGA Section Assistant Professional Championship and tied for 38th at the TaylorMade Adidas National Assistant Professional Championship later that same year. He's been a PGA professional since 1999, and he has worked at clubs like Bighorn Golf Club, Oak Hill Country Club, Inverness, Tuscany Reserve Golf Club, Gateway Golf and Country Club, and now he's the director of golf at Pelican's Nest Golf Club down in Bonita Springs, Florida. He spent 6 seasons working alongside 3 of Golf Digest's top 100 instructors, including 2 of Claude Harmon's sons, Bill and Craig Harmon, plus Todd Stones as well. In 2009, Chris was the PGA South Florida Section's Private Club Merchandiser of the Year. He's also the president of the Southwest Florida chapter of PGA Professionals, and I'm very excited to get to have him back again with me and Next on the Tee this morning. Good morning, Chris. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Good morning, Chris. This is wonderful. Thanks for having me back. Been looking forward to this for a long time since our last chat, and looking forward to what we have this morning. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Chris. So, Chris, the thing that's been dominating the news around golf, over the last couple of weeks has been, the Olympics and golf's return to it. Like I said in the intro, we've seen the men's side complete their event with Justin Rose taking home the gold, Henrik Stenson the silver, Matt Kuchar brings back to the U.S. the bronze, and we've got the ladies out there playing now. Curious to get your thoughts. Did you watch any of it? And if you did, what did you think of the event that we've seen so far?
I have. I was very interested in golf's return to the Olympics. I'm actually watching the girls right now as we speak, and I think the golf course design was great. You didn't have to hit it 350 yards to compete. You had to really work your golf ball in both directions. You had to be very creative around the greens. And I think once the Olympics ends at this golf course, at Olympic Golf Club, it's going to leave a footprint for design that says, you know what, you don't have to have 1,000 bunkers, and you don't have to have greens that are rolling 14. And I think it's going to be a great place for the Brazilians to actually pick up the game and learn. And the pace of play in these events, has been 30 to 40 minutes quicker than a PGA Championship or a U.S. Open, which I think has been awesome to watch as well. And to see, the girls get really into it. I know that there were some concerns health-wise going into it, but it's been really cool, and I think I think it will grow the game, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And the desire to compete in the Olympics, I know it's relatively new, 100 years, but for golfers, I think that'll continue to grow and put golf. Hopefully, golf will become one of the staple events for the Olympics, and one of the driving forces for men's and women's competitions and qualifications throughout the years to come. I think it's been great. Just truly enjoyed it.
And, Chris, and you mentioned a moment ago, a lot of, some of the top golfers, right, on the men's side particularly, were citing the health concerns, and they decided to not be a part of the Olympics this time around. Do you think, after having seen the event and how it played out and that sort of thing, do you think any of them, maybe regretting the decision not to go?
In a moment of honesty, yeah. But I can't fault anyone for deciding not to go, especially, if you listen to much of the media that preceded the Olympics, there was a lot of health concerns. There was a lot of security concerns. And perhaps, it was inflated, and it appears that the Brazilians have put on a spectacular show. But anyone who decided for whatever reason it was, whether it was, schedule or competition or health reasons, I can't not but support whatever decisions they made in the best interest of themselves or their families or whatever came into that decision. If it was in the United States, would those top players have played? Probably. Whatever they have chosen to do, I can't fault them either way.
Right. And one of the other things you sort of alluded to a moment ago, Chris, is, the design of this golf course and, and the length of golf courses, right? I mean, some of the things that, makes golf a little more prohibitive for, a lot of us to play is the cost of playing. And we saw here, to your point, that this isn't a 7,500-yard golf course, and so many of our golf courses here, particularly when we're hosting the major championships or even week-to-week play out on the PGA Tour, golf courses are so long, and because they are so long, it requires a lot of irrigation and water and upkeep and all of those sorts of things. I think you're right. I think this golf course proves to us, and we've seen it a little bit in some other courses, around the U.S. and even over in Europe. But, you don't have to have a 7,500 yard. I mean, heck, some of the golf courses we're seeing nowadays are stretched all the way out. If you really put the tees back to the tips, are starting to tickle 8,000 yards, right? You don't have to do that, right? Isn't there a way for us to design golf courses that, don't have to have that, that much yardage and have to have that much upkeep and that much maintenance and all of that sort of thing, so that, hey, the pros can still go out there and play it, and it can be a challenging track for them. Plus, it makes the game more affordable for the rest of us. Yeah,
it's a great question. It's a very complex question. But this golf course next week could host a junior tournament, and the week after that could host a Paralympic championship. It's that economically feasible, and it's that ergonomically and environmentally thought-provoking. You essentially have one strand of grass. It's all seashore past Palom. They have two heights of cut. Basically, the tees, the fairways, the rough, it's all the same cut. You just throw one blade height, and you just have at it. You've got plenty of natural areas. You've got some bunkers, and it's relatively low maintenance. It is in somewhat of a warm place. You can see the golf course drying out as the weather heated up. I mean, the men played in a couple days. It was cold, and it rained prior to it. So now that you see that the rain is sort of soaked all in and the temperatures have heated up, you see the golf course drying out. So it's not like they're trying to present a golf course that doesn't have a blade of grass out of place, or bunkers that have to be pristine, or greens that have to roll 15. I think they did a wonderful job for the area where it's placed, and the economy that needs to support it. And they can have a very small maintenance crew. They can have a very small capital budget with their equipment, because it doesn't require 6 different heights of cut. and tons of bunker maintenance and green speeds and things like that. If it gets dry, it'll brown out. That's okay too.
Right.
I think they did a really neat job. Just a really neat job. The only thing I'd really like to see is I wish the men and women competed the same week. I think it would have been great for the eyes of golf to see men and women competing on the same golf course under the same conditions. You put, just like a regular tour event, there's always an AM, PM shift from Thursday and Friday.
Right.
You could have put the guys out Thursday morning and Friday afternoon, and the girls out Friday afternoon, Thursday morning. They would have got the same conditions. You would have had male eyes watching female golf and female eyes watching male golf, and I think that would have even helped it even more. And for those young girls and young boys who look at their heroes and say, you know what, I remember when Dustin Johnson hit 7-iron into this hole and Lydia Ko hit 7-iron as well. And you could test each other's skills on the same golf course at the same time. I think that would have been neat. Hopefully.
Yes.
I'd rather not see
idea.
it go to match play, but I'd like to see them play together. I think that'd be neat. I think that'd be really cool for golf.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic idea. I've not heard someone suggest that, but I think that would be absolutely great. That's a great idea. Hopefully we can get a few ears on that idea, and maybe we could see something 4 years from now, or even heck, out on the tour. How great would that be to see? We just call it the U.S. Open. It's not the men's Open or the LPGA. U.S. Open. It's the U.S. Open, and we get to see the men and the women. To your point, and I guess it's harder when you've got 100, plus 150 golfers, teeing off, at the same time. But if you pared down the field a little bit, and got to see them all on the same course at the same time. But boy, that's a great idea. Yeah, maybe we get a few years on that, Chris. Great thought.
Yeah, specific to these field sizes, it's completely doable. And then the other thing that struck me about the Olympics is you either finish first, second, or third, or you get nothing. And I just think that's awesome. And it reminds me of not that I played, but it reminds me of junior golf. You either win, it's gold, silver, bronze, or thanks for coming. And I just think that's really cool. And I think that will also sort of churn the fire inside of some of the world's top players to see truly it's not about a paycheck, and you got to play good for 2 years to qualify, and then once you get in, it's here's maybe a cup of coffee, but if you don't play well, you're not getting anything. So I think that'd be really cool. I love that concept. Yeah, top three or bust.
There you go. Chris, let's talk a little bit, as we talk about course and course design and length and that sort of thing, let's talk about your home course right now, Pelican's Nest. You look over the wide variety of tee options, and I know you're a big proponent of play your tee, and let's let her tee it forward. Let's talk a little bit about about that. As I look, the extreme length, I guess if you played all the way at the tips, you're looking at a little over 7,000 yards, but you have a wide variety of tee lengths ranging from that 7,000 yards all the way down to 5,000 yards. Talk about your golf course and the idea of playing your tees.
Yeah, this is an exciting time for the club. We're finishing up our second year of a 2-year golf course reconstruction. We're replacing all of the original greens and reconstructing to the original specifications of Jan Beljan and Tom Fazio. Redoing all the bunkers. We did the fairways this summer on the Gator Golf Course. And what we did is we had the opportunity, instead of excavating the greens and paying someone to take the material off site, we turned those old greens into legitimate size, strategically placed tee boxes, so we could create a golf course at 4,000 yards, which we call our scoring course, which allows our aging players to enjoy it, which allows our beginner men and women to enjoy it. And we've incorporated that scoring course into a lot of the competitions that we've utilized the staff with. We're running a summer Beat the Pro series for 8 weeks this summer, and every third event is from 4,000 yards. And it's a Stableford format, and the members go out and try and get to a number, and the staff goes out, and we try and post a low number that they have to beat. And quite honestly, our biggest thrashing was from the scoring tees at 4,000 yards. We got absolutely murdered because we didn't know how to play that golf course. everybody's used to hitting drivers and 3-woods, and all of a sudden you got to hit 5-iron sand wedge, and you find out how poor your short game is and how poor your wedge game is and your putting is, and then you've got a 26 handicapper who could never reach a par 4 or par 5 in regulation, and all of a sudden, they can reach because they're playing a golf course that fits their ability. They can hit a tee shot, and they can hit an iron into the green. And folks that have higher handicaps usually have hit a lot more short game shots, so they're many times more proficient in their short game than people that hit a lot of fairways and greens. And we got killed. We had a lady last week who got 62 points in a Stableford format with a 26 handicap. And she was ecstatic. And we had another lady a couple weeks prior to that who shot 81 with a 27 handicap because she was playing a golf course that fit. She could reach, and it told her how good she was actually in and around the greens. And if she could only reach and play her game to a golf course where she could hit a drive and hit an iron and possibly putt for birdie, what her potential actually was. So it's been quite a renaissance at the club in the last 11 months with having these scoring tees. Last year the Hurricane was complete, and in about 60 days the Gator will be complete. So we'll have 36 holes of golf from 7,000 yards to 4,000 yards, which is really exciting for the club. And it's been a neat summer. It's been exciting to watch, and it's exciting to see people get jazzed up about golf who have been playing golf for 30 years and still shoot 93 or 94, that now when you convince them that, hey, this is my golf course and I can shoot 80 and maybe break 70 sometimes, it's been neat. It's been fun to be a part of, that's for sure.
Yeah, and to that point, Chris, right? I mean, it's, golf, a lot of times, and I think historically, right, we have forced golfers to play from, 2 or 3, maybe 4 tee lengths, and a lot of times because of our buddies and our egos, moreover, we're playing a set of tees that really isn't right for us, right? And you talk about getting stuck. I get stuck shooting in the 90s or around 100 or whatever it is, right? Because I'm playing with all of my friends, and I don't want to walk up to to be the lone guy that go up to the white tees or the gold tees or whatever the more forward tees are. But really, when we start to do that and we start to get over that stuff and go out there, it makes the game more fun, does it not? I mean, we feel better about ourselves because we went out and maybe we broke 80 for the first time or broke 90 for the first time. It makes us generate more excitement to want to go out and play more, because when you get beat down and you shoot 98 again and you're just stuck there, it's just, it makes the game not that much fun. I don't want to go back out there and take that beating again. But if I can go and move up a little bit or play the right tee that's designed for my game, or a course like yours that has a lot of options that's designed for my game, it makes it more fun, and I want to play more, right?
Yes, I mean, I think that's inherent in any human being. The desire to compete, whether it's against others or against yourself or against the golf course. If I shot 96 every time I played golf, I would not play golf anymore. That's just me.
Right.
I have an expectation of a realistic expectation of what I think. I understand that I'm going to have good days and bad days, but if my expectation came down to be 96 as a PGA professional, I would rather be a bartender, to be quite honest with you, because that's just not who I am. And so if I can put myself in an environment where I can find, and it's not necessarily athletics, but if I can find a business environment that I can exceed in and have success in, I'm gonna want to, indulge myself in the pursuit of that excellence, and to put yourself in an environment where you consistently fail is one of the reasons why people don't play golf. And I think that this golf course here at Olympic Park tells you that. And it's funny just watching this telecast right now. It looks like the winning score is going to be almost identical. It looks like the bronze medals, the silver medal score is going to be almost identical. This is pretty neat. It's 2 different quality players, 2 different genders playing an identical golf course, and they're going to shoot the same numbers. So it tells you how good both of them are, and it tells you how well this golf course fits players. But what it also tells you is that anybody can play at this golf course. It doesn't have to be, Oakmont at 7,000 yards to show the world how good these players are. They can play the same golf course 1 week apart, and they're going to shoot the same numbers. It's really neat. It's just something that pops in your head when you're watching this telecast. The scores are going to be the same, which is awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, I saw on your Twitter feed that you recently tested out the PXG golf clubs and thought that, they were good, as good, if not better than ever. Just curious to get your thoughts on what you think of them and what you think makes them a little bit better than what you thought.
I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. I got a phone call from my my PXG rep who I actually knew 6 or 7 years ago, and he said, I'd like to show you this stuff. And I said, that's great. I've never even seen it, never picked it up. And he came out in the truck, and I had a couple of my staff members, and it just felt, the wedges felt extremely soft, really quiet. The irons just felt extremely forgiving, which is, I don't think that's part of their vocabulary. They're just trying to build golf clubs that perform, but it felt forgiving. And I'm a guy with 3 back surgeries, and I've got graphite regular shafts, and I can certainly feel vibrations and things like that. It's just something I've had to deal with for 11 years, but they were very solid. The drivers were very long, longer than what I play. And it was, I had, the guy who runs my outside services, he hit some shots, and I had an 82-year-old member next to me, and he was hitting shots, and so we kind of ran the spectrum of who was trying out the equipment, and it was across every level of play, and every age and every handicap. It was a resounding, these are good type of review for us. It was neat. I was very thankful that he came by. So we're going to bring PXG back to the club in November, and have conduct a fitting day with our members. And it's unique in the way they do it. They don't do demo days. It's not a 2-hour or 6-hour open window to just come up and try. They actually want people that are interested in purchasing, and they give you you get a window for an iron fitting or 2 hours for a total bag fitting. And it's an interesting concept. It's not just show up and try it and kick the tires and walk away. I'm interested in what you have to offer, and I'm a buyer, and we'd like to give you 2 hours of our time. So it's neat. I'm looking forward to them coming to the club. I think we'll start marketing it to our members that's a strategy we're going to use in the fall with PXG, and we'll see where it goes. But I was thoroughly impressed with the equipment, as were the people that hit the equipment as well.
Chris, and we're talking with Chris Sheehan here on Next on the Tee. And Chris, a couple more before we let you go. Let's get a playing lesson for our folks about to hit the golf course today or tomorrow. And I got to imagine you guys have a lot of sand traps on your courses down there in Florida. And sand play, quite honestly, is one of the weakest parts of my game. For those of us that are headed to the course to play and we struggle, getting out of the sand consistently, what's a tip that can help us be more successful when we unfortunately find ourselves in a sand trap?
Well, I think the most important aspect of good sand play is to actually use the equipment the way it was designed. When you pull a 7-iron from 150 yards in the fairway, you square the club up so that the club face is designed to enter the sand and cut through it and create a divot and launch the ball in a certain trajectory. Playing with sand wedges, there's a lot of bounce. There's different designs in the bottom of the club, the flange of the club, and a sand wedge is designed to bounce. It's not designed to dig. So if you get over a bunker shot and you square your club, your sand wedge up like you're squaring up a 7-iron in the middle of the fairway, you're gonna create a massive hole, and that sort of resistance with the bunker sand is not going to propel the ball. It's going to slow your club down, and a lot of times people that leave the ball in the bunker are holding their club the wrong way. So what I would advise everyone to do is to take their club in their hands and take their grip, and most grips have a logo on it or a tick mark, whether it says Titleist on the bottom of the grip or it says Ping on the bottom of the grip, or you'll see a couple of hash lines that are engraved into the grip. Once you take your grip with your club in a straight fashion, why don't you turn it 45 degrees so that the face of the club points to the right. That will open up the club face, but what it also does is it puts the flange and the sole of the club in contact with the sand. So instead of digging, your club is going to actually bounce through the sand, and that bounce is going to allow the club to continue to accelerate, because most folks that have trouble in bunkers, they're decelerators. They get these big, massive swings and try and dig a hole and stop and control the distance of their shot with the length of their follow-through. And you watch these guys and girls on TV during this Olympics, their bunker swings are just about full swings, and they control the distance of their shots with the amount of loft that they use. And that loft is created by rotating the club to the right, whether it's 10 degrees or 20 degrees or 50 degrees, depending on how high and short or how low and far you want to hit a bunker shot. So I would really practice taking the grip properly with a sand wedge. It shouldn't be sold so that the club face is straight to the target. The club face should be to the right. And then because the club face points to the right, you have to aim your body to the left so that when you make contact with the sand, the ball moves toward the target and not towards the direction that you're swinging in, because the club is basically a crooked club. You're just making a swing with a crooked club, but you're utilizing the club the way it was designed. Use the bottom of that club, use the bounce of the club, and let the club do the work for you rather than everyone trying to make this big, hard swing and decelerating through it and creating too much sand by digging too much with a club that is held improperly.
All right, there you go. Give that a try. Hopefully it gets me in and out of the sand a little bit better this weekend. Moreover, I hope I don't get in the sand, but if I do, I'm going to use that. Chris, remind our listeners, how can they follow you, both online and over social media as well?
Well, you can take a peek at the club. We're at www.nestgolf.com. You can follow me on Twitter at PNGCDOG or whatever, PNGCDOG, which is Pelican's Nest Golf Club Director of Golf, PNGCDOG. I'm on Facebook as well. I'm on LinkedIn. I don't know how you find me there, but I'm out there. And everybody's always welcome. I always put my private numbers on those things, so anybody who wants to call and chat. And it was neat. After our last conversation, I had some folks from Michigan give me a call about what we did with the golf course and teeing it forward and some of the things we did with the redesign. So I'm very appreciative to you, Chris, and Next on the Tee, and creating a little bit more positive vibe on playing it forward and designing golf courses that fit all levels of players. So I'm thankful for being an invited guest on your show. It's really a privilege.
I appreciate it, Chris. It's always great having you here. I hope you'll come back again soon and share more of your thoughts and insights with us. Always, I really enjoyed the now the second opportunity to have you as part of the show. You're fantastic. I hope you get. I hope you'll do us the privilege of coming back again real soon.
100%. You can call me anytime. You know that. But I appreciate it very much, Chris.
All right, take care, Chris. All the best to you and your family. Look forward to catching up again real soon.
Take care. Thank you.
You bet. That was Chris Sheehan. He is PGA professional down at Pelican's Nest down there in Bonita Springs, Florida. Check him out online and over Twitter as well. Great stuff, great guy, and we certainly look forward to having Chris back on the show again with us, like I say, here real soon. All right, before we get to our next guest, Andy Traynor, I want to give a shout-out to our friends. You heard me talking about it at the top of the show, our friends at the World Golf Village. Again, my buddies and I, we had just a great time. We had our guys trip there this year, and just the folks there were fantastic. From the hotel that we got to stay at there at the Renaissance, to the folks over at their golf academy, to the people that we dealt with at their golf courses. All fantastic folks. Again, it is located in historic St. Augustine, Florida, just south of Jacksonville. It is the ultimate golf vacation destiny with a true paradise for we golf fans. The village, as it's referred to, by the locals down there, it is also the home of the World Golf Hall of Fame, where the greatest players and contributors to the game of golf, they're honored. It includes 70,000 square feet of displays, trophies, and personal memorabilia. The World Golf Village, they also have 2 championship golf courses right there on site, including the King and the Bear, co-designed by Arnold Palmer and Jack Nicklaus, and the Sam Snead and Gene Sarazen masterpiece, the Slammer and the Squire. Golfers looking to tune up their game, like you heard me mention a moment ago, you can book some time and get a lesson at their golf academy, the PGA Tour Golf Academy that's down there, featuring the latest in learning technologies and world-class instructors. The guys that work with us were absolutely spectacular, really helped us out a lot. Like I say, you got a luxurious place to stay when you're down there. That's the Renaissance Resort, offering an array of amenities, dining options, premier services. Folks, no matter the time of year or the length of your visit, the World Golf Village is sure to deliver an unmatched experience with family and friends. You're going to make memories that are going to last you a lifetime. For more information, go to worldgolfvillage.com or give them a call, 1-800-948-4653. We'll get to Andy Traynor on the other side of this station identification.
You're listening to Next on the Tee with Chris-Mascaro, heard around the world on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
And now joining me on the French Lick Resort guest line is Andy Traynor. Let me give you some background on Andy. He is a Trackman master professional and lead golf instructor at the Plain Truth Golf Academy in Waters Creek down in Dallas. Andy spent years as a teaching professional and head golf pro over in England at clubs like Chestnut Park Golf Course and the Chingford Golf Course just outside of London. Turned pro back in 1984, and he is the only Trackman master professional down there in the state of Texas. And I'm very honored to get to have some time with him and have him next on the tee with me this morning. Good morning, Andy. Thank you for joining me.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for inviting me on.
So, Andy, talk about what the Plain Truth Golf Academy is and exactly what it means to be a Trackman master professional.
Well, the Plain Truth Golf Academy at Waters Creek is basically where we fix impact for golfers. Jim Hardy wrote the golf book, The Plain Truth Golf, back in, I think it was 2000. And with Chris O'Connell, Matt Kuchar's coach, set up a certification program for golf professionals to learn about their work. And that was how I come to meet Chris and Jim, and subsequently work with them down at Waters Creek. So we believe that, our mantra, if you like, is that the only thing that matters is impact is correct and repetitive. The method for achieving that is of no consequence so long as the method is correct and repetitive.
And Andy, we hear a lot about Trackman. To your point here, when we're watching golf on TV, talk about what it is exactly and what we can learn from having our swings analyzed by it and the data that comes from it.
Well, obviously, when we hit a golf ball, we have internal forces that we apply to the golf ball, and then we have external forces that apply to the golf ball, i.e., wind, the way the ball bounces, etc. And we have no control over those, if you like. We are just basically kind of working out what we think it's going to do. But what Trackman does, it measures the internal forces that we apply. So we apply 4 forces to a golf ball when we impact it: the dynamic loft, the attack angle, the club face direction, and the club path. Those 4 forces all combine to make up the overall flight and the spin of the golf ball. And Trackman is basically telling us what those are. What is that the club face doing at impact? What is the club path doing at impact? What is the attack angle? And what is the dynamic loft? And it will give us basically the information that we need to fix things. If the person interpreting that data interprets it correctly, then they can change that for the better. However, same as everything that people interpret, it can be interpreted incorrectly, and then maybe it doesn't get changed for the better.
So, Andy, when you talk about some of the internal forces, you mentioned dynamic loft. What is dynamic loft? So,
dynamic loft is the loft delivered from the club face to the ball. So, when we say set up with a 30-degree golf club, say for instance, when I grew up, 30 degrees was a 5-iron, it's now nearer a 7-iron. And let's say we lean the handle forwards and we lean our body forwards. And so that 30 degrees of loft may be turned into 20 degrees of loft. And so obviously, depending on how someone delivers the golf club, is the loft delivered to the ball.
So what you're measuring there is, am I keeping my 5-iron at a 5-iron loft, or am I, either increasing or decreasing loft? So you're trying to measure, making sure I'm hitting at the right angle based on the club that I've chosen.
Yeah. I mean, someone obviously who's taken a lot of loft off of the golf club, I mean, they may struggle to hit their long irons up in the air, which is then why obviously hybrids have come into the game. So yes, most definitely.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, but I think one of the things that the Trackman helps us with is also understanding or seeing what our spin rate is. And so I'm for those of us that don't understand, ideally off our drivers, what do we want our spin rate to be and why?
So that spin rate is it's not necessarily the same for every person. Purely because ball flight or any flight is a combination of thrust and lift. So the speed being the thrust, and if you like, the spin being the lift. So someone who's creating a lot of speed won't need as much spin as someone who's creating less speed. And basically, spin is created by being the difference between the angle of attack and the dynamic loft. So this is how I kind of try to explain it to people in what I would consider the easiest way. Two everyday objects that kind of we use in general life are a hammer and a wrench. And they're used in a different way to apply force. A hammer is used to apply force through the center of gravity of an object. And so that hammer directs the object in a given direction in terms of where the hammer strikes the object. The wrench, the force is applied away from the center of gravity. And so that when you apply force with a wrench, whatever you're applying force to, if you use the wrench in the way that it's designed, would be to rotate that object. So in effect, the dynamic loft acts like a hammer, and the attack angle acts like a wrench. And so the difference between those two will rotate the golf ball, depending on, if you like, how far the difference is between the two. And it works the same for the club face and the club path in the horizontal axis. So if the club path, that acts like the wrench, and the hammer, like the face, acts like the hammer. And again, the difference between the two just would be how much spin we're going to apply to the golf ball. And the other thing that, if you like, makes the golf ball spin is what is commonly referred to as gear effect. Gear effect is just the result of then the hammer not being applied through the center of gravity. So the hammer is applied away from the center of gravity, the face is applied away from the center of gravity, and that then acts as a wrench. So now you have two wrenches imparting a force, which is why gear effect imparts a lot more force than just the difference between the face and path angles.
Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like I hit the nail with the hammer, but I hit it off center. So now the hammer, instead of the nail going straight into the piece of wood, is now bent to the right or bent to the left, and therefore
correct.
I'm hooking or slicing.
Correct.
All right, that's a good way to know it. And Andy, is there an ideal spin rate? I mean, are there things based on your swing speed? Like I'm a guy, my swing speed is around 95 miles an hour. Is there a spin rate that I should be looking for based on my swing speed, and it's different for the pros that are hitting it at 125?
Yeah, again, that would depend on the launch angle that you're creating. I wouldn't necessarily look to say. The faster swing guys are looking to create something for 2,000 RPM. A little bit slower, maybe 2.5. Mrs. Abernathy, she might want 3,000 just to keep it in the air.
All right, good to know. So, and Andy, let's talk a little bit about your home course now, Waters Creek. Looks like an absolutely spectacular facility. I was checking it out online. Talk about what it's like there, and for people that aren't as familiar with it, or for those folks in and around the area that haven't given it a try, what they can see when they go there.
Well, I've been at Waters Creek since April, and I'm absolutely amazed at the facility. The City of Allen bought the facility and invested heavily into it. They DA Whitebring redesigned the facility. We have a 50 bay hitting grass hitting stations. We have a 6-hole par 3 golf course, both of which are floodlit. We then have a 9-hole executive course, par 30, and a great 18-hole golf course. If we don't have any wish to have anything else, we also have a 3-hole, a 3-green chipping area, short game area, and 2 great putting greens. I mean, for me as a coach, to use that facility is just amazing. There's nothing that we can't do with my colleagues. You know, I work with 3 great guys: Chris O'Connell, who is coach to Matt Kuchar, Jake Sandusky, and Joe Brown. As a team, we're just so pleased to be at Waters Creek.
So, Andy, let's go back a few years and talk about your time at Chestnut Park Golf Course and the Chingford Golf Course. Chingford is the oldest golf course ever in Essex, all the way back to 1886, and Chestnut Park has a clubhouse on the property that dates all the way back to 1625. What was it like for you being a part of, a couple of places with such rich history?
It's got, well, and obviously England, if you like, the history is kind of much older, if you like, and so you kind of, I mean, for us in England, we kind of don't think of 1600 as being necessarily old, and maybe we just don't appreciate that history as much as obviously out here in the States. So
let's talk about some things that you see everyday players like me that when you're teaching us and you got us out on practice range, or you're giving a lesson. Is there Andy, is there something you see consistently that we amateurs do that we obviously we need to get better at? Is there something consistent from player to player that you see that that we don't do well?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest thing that I see with golfers, with amateur golfers, is that they feel that they've almost indoctrinated to make an in-to-out type golf swing. Over the years, I hear everybody talking about someone is over the top. That's why the ball's going left. They're over the top. Well, most people, I would say that more people, if you like, swing into out than out to in. The face of the golf club, if you like, dictates where that golf ball starts rather than the path. So when someone hits a golf shot to the left, they automatically think that they're over the top. And they're not. They're inside it with a completely shut club face. And you see it a lot on the TV where someone hits a shot and they hit it left, and the commentator calls them that they're over the top. And then all of a sudden they play the golf swing, and they're kind of not over the top. They're still inside it, but the faces are closed. So if people can start to understand what causes the golf ball to go in a given direction, they're going to start to play better golf rather than worrying about the look of their golf swing. Jim Furyk should not be playing the great golf that he's playing if the look of the golf swing matters. The only man to break 60 twice on the PGA Tour, unbelievable golfer, and all he does is get criticised for his golf swing. The man has perfect impact.
It's interesting because you tweeted out, I saw you tweeted that out a couple of weeks ago, sort of a tongue-in-cheek comment. If Jim Furyk shoots the lowest round, ever, I think you tweeted it out just as he was finishing up that 58. It won't count because he doesn't have a pretty golf swing. I thought that was a funny comment.
That's all people kind of are interested in. Does it look nice? Well, golf, solving golf swings is the same as solving any problem. There's something wrong. Let's get to the root of why this doesn't work. If I call a plumber out to fix my heating that's not working, he gets to the root of the problem and he fixes it. He doesn't paint the heating a different color to make it look nice. Fixes the problem.
Right.
And I see too much of that, and I was guilty of that many years ago, because having grown up and going from being taught to teach, if you like, the way I was taught to teach was through look. I probably made people worse than some people worse than making them better. And that's the great thing about what I do now. We make people better. If we don't make you better, please don't pay me. I wouldn't expect to pay a plumber if he came in and didn't do the job, or a mechanic if he didn't fix my car. And that's the same as us as golf professionals. Why would we ask for payment if we don't make you better?
Very good point. And Andy, I was just talking with Chris Sheehan here a moment ago, and one of the questions I asked Chris was how to improve bunker play, particularly when you're around the greens. How do we get out of the bunker and more consistently, that sort of thing, around the greens? But let's take that a step further back. A lot of us also struggle with long fairway bunker shots. Give us an idea. What's the proper way for us to get out of a fairway bunker, but still get distance on the shot if we happen to find ourselves, 100, 150 or whatever yards out, and unfortunately we're in the bottom of a fairway bunker?
Well, if we go back to what I spoke about earlier, that most people are swinging into out rather than out to in with a closed face. So when we swing into out, we are moving the bottom of our arc back towards our right foot, and when we swing out to in, we're moving the bottom of our arc forwards towards our left foot. So most people struggle in a bunker is to, one, to get the ball up in the air, and two, to strike it cleanly enough. And that's where the problem lies, is that, if people are swinging into or out with a closed face, they're going to be hitting the ground, and if they don't hit the ground, they might catch the ball kind of halfway up with a closed face and then hit the face in front of them. If everybody could swing the golf club, what they feel like swinging the club head to the left, they're going to move the bottom of the arc forwards, and they're going to catch the ball cleanly, give them more chance of getting out of the bunker.
I'm talking with Andy Traynor, Trackman Master Professional and lead golf instructor at the Plain Truth Golf Academy in Waters Creek down in Dallas here on Next on the Tee. And Andy, a couple more before we let you go. One of the things we talk a lot about on this show is the mental side of the game, and curious to get your advice for how should we handle it? How should we get our minds right? If we happen to make a bad swing or we have a bad hole, how do we refocus ourselves so that one bad hole doesn't lead to several bad holes?
I think a lot of that comes down to the shot process. I did some work, I went through the TPI certification program some time ago, and one of the things the great things that I came out of that with was to have a shot process. And so we kind of do that with most of the players that I work with, and that would then encompass fixing what we've done throughout the shot. So part of the shot process is to evaluate the shot after we hit it, and then fix that evaluation. So if you don't want to be carrying your bad baggage on, if you like, onto the next shot. Fix it before you leave the position. So if you've made a bad swing, just rehearse whatever drills you need to do. Fix it right there and then. If it's been a bad decision, take a mental note that let's say for instance you've flown a green and you chose the wrong club. Just take a mental note from there that isn't correct. But now get rid of it, just leave it and move on. The game of golf is, for most people, is something that they do in their, if you like, recreation time. And they kind of go to work all week, and this is the time that they should be enjoying themselves. And yet most people go out on the golf course and they beat themselves up. Surely, you want to be out there enjoying yourself. You get beat up at work all week. Don't get out on the golf course.
Mm-hmm. Andy, let's talk a little bit about reading greens, another area that a lot of us struggle with. I can't tell you how many times when I'm playing with my buddies, we say to each other, "Well, I can't believe it broke that way." How can we do a better job of reading greens and judging the break? Okay,
so you see, you kind of maybe get that I'm a little bit of a technical guy. I like to know the ins and outs of everything. And so I want to get to if something happens, I want to know why it happens. And Aim Point has been fantastic for that. Because Aim Point, if you like, to me, is the Trackman of reading greens. If someone's struggling with reading greens, please go and do an Aim Point course. Jake Sandusky, who's one of my colleagues, is absolutely fantastic at reading greens. He's an Aim Point instructor. I have the utmost respect for anyone who is an Aim Point instructor, because, if you like, it's the physics of why that thing is moving in a direction. I mean, Newton's 3 laws of motions. I mean, the first one is that an object at rest will remain at rest unless acted upon by another force. And that kind of is reading greens, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, and kind of people, if they got their head around that slope, I mean, so now all you've got to do is find out where the slope is, and aim point teaches people to read it through their feet. I think that's an incredible thing. So go and get yourself a digital spirit level. Find a slope where it's a 1 degree slope. Stand on that slope. What does that feel on your feet? Put it on a 2% slope. How does that feel on your feet? Where are you feeling the slope through your feet, rather than the look? Once we start looking at things, we can kind of get optical illusions, and so from there, that's when we kind of get fooled.
And Andy, one of the other things I got Chris's feedback on earlier in the show was obviously golf's return to the Olympics, and you mentioned Chris O'Connell, Matt Kuchar's coach, working there with you. Matt obviously bringing the gold medal back home to the U.S. Justin Rose bringing the bronze medal, I should say, to the U.S. Justin Rose getting the gold medal for England. Your thoughts on what you've seen so far with golf coming back to the Olympics? Good thing, bad thing, interesting?
I think it's been fantastic. I was one of the skeptical guys. I mean, as I sit talking to you, I have the women's golf on in front of me. We've been rained off here from coaching this morning. It can only bring more people into the game. If then they receive the correct coaching, that can only be good for the game. I don't see any bad coming out of the golf being in the Olympics. I mean, the exposure worldwide is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought was maybe that the pros shouldn't be playing, but the more I've watched it, they should be playing because they're the best in the world.
Right. Yeah. No. I've been surprised by my interest in the game. Wasn't sure either. I was a little skeptical heading in, but I tell you what, it's been great.
I think that the people that bought into it are the ones that have done so well. I know that Matt Kuchar, you're just listening to his interview after. He was absolutely pumped up. And I think that the Olympics in golf will become very, very big. And I hope it does.
I hope it does as well. Andy, before we let you go, let our listeners know, how can they follow you, online, and also, perhaps book a lesson and follow you over social media as well?
Okay, so I'm not the biggest social media guy, but on Twitter I'm at Traynor Andy, TraynorAndy. The Plain Truth, the Plain Truth WatersCreek.com. You can email me. And feel free to email me as well if you have any questions. I'm happy to get back to you at andytraynor@plaintruthgolf.com.
Awesome.
And just from there.
All right.
I'm on Facebook, but as your earlier listener says, I have no idea why I am on Facebook.
That's great. Andy, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to be a part of the show. You were great. I hope you'll come back and do it again sometime to share more of your stories and your insights with us. Love to get more time with you.
I would love to, Chris, and thank you very much for inviting me on.
All right. Take care, Andy. All the best to you and your family.
Take care, Chris. Thank you. You too. Bye.
That is Andy Traynor, again, at Waters Golf Course down there and just outside of Dallas. So check him out. Boy, you want to talk about a guy with the data and the know-how to help us fix our games. Boy, Andy sure is the guy. So check him out. Let me know what you think, and we look forward to hopefully getting Andy back on the show before not too long. All right, folks, it's time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. Before we close up shop, I want to continue to remind you about our friend and our partners over at the Salute Military Golf Association, co-founded by PGA professional Jim Estes. Let's hear a word from Jim about the great things they're doing.
The Salute Military Golf Association was created to provide rehabilitative golf experiences to the brave men and women who have been wounded while serving our country. Hi, I'm Jim Estes, PGA Golf Pro and co-founder of the Salute Military Golf Association. With my adaptive golf program, we've successfully helped thousands of soldiers in their recovery, both mentally and physically. The SMGA has been providing family-inclusive golf experiences across the country since 2007. To date, the SMGA has equipped more than 1,000 warriors with properly fitted golf clubs and has extended its clinic series to more than 8 chapter and affiliate locations across the U.S. If you are a wounded veteran interested in participating, or if you'd like to learn more about the Salute Military Golf Association and find a chapter closest to you, visit our website at smga.org. We've seen firsthand how impactful golf can be in aiding one's recovery. The Salute Military Golf Association, empowering wounded veterans one fairway at a time. Visit smga.org. That's smga.org.
Raise your game to new heights in performance with a brand that's been known for style, character, and excellence for the last 25 years. The Bobby Jones Company. We have an inspired collection of products that capitalize on fabric technology to deliver a modern look and performance while honoring the legacy of Bobby Jones. And while we deliver on the promise of enduring style, we also work hard to earn your respect, your trust, your business, and just as important, your long-term friendship. Communicate that you're here to stay by wearing clothes from a brand that has enduring style and presence. The Bobby Jones Company. Check out all of our great styles by going to bobbyjones.com.
All right, everybody, my sincere thanks again to Chris Sheehan and Andy Traynor for making today's show so much fun for me to be a part of. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Please also check out our sister show, Thursday Night Tailgate, with me and my co-host Bob Lazari and our announcer Joe LaGianusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it on the Armed Forces Radio Network and Blog Talk Radio as well. Plus, you can also, it's available as a podcast. You can find it on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Player.fm and SoundCloud as well. This show also available as a podcast on all of those great sites, plus iTunes as well. On Thursday Night Tailgate, every single week, we are joined by legends and stars from around the NFL. So please come listen to us, check us out. Great stories. We also have the Spotlight on the Positive, where you get to hear, about, some great players doing some great things to have a positive impact on their communities as well on that show. So we try to keep it positive here on Next on the Tee. We try to keep it positive on Thursday Night Tailgate. We know you've got, 1,000 choices for shows and podcasts to stream or to listen to. And a lot of them, if you're just tired of all the ranting and the raving and the negative news about, whether on Thursday Night Tailgate about NFL players or just sort of tired of the negative in general, we hope you'll continue to check out this show and Thursday Night Tailgate as well. Please also check out both shows on Facebook. Give us a like. That's important to us as well. Plus, you can find us online. This show, nextonthetee.net, ThursdayNightTailgate.com. From either site, you can stream or download any of our episodes from those sites as well for free. Plus, you get to keep up to date with who some of our future guests are going to be as well. Folks, I can't thank you again and enough for choosing to listen to this show today. We appreciate you the very most. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friends.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris-Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors, and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Saturday to hear more stories about the game we love from the people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.